Do it now. Do it now, guest governor.
I don't remember flying through the air. I only recall landing in a heap on the side of the road. Coming to my senses. Rich! Rich! I saw Rich's body by the road. Blood flowing from his nose and mouth. Answered the question I never voiced. Are you okay? It was after midnight on a Saturday night in November of '96. Rich and I were Army officers stationed at Camp Gary Owen in the village of Seonri, South Korea, just 6 miles from the DMZ in the North Korean border. We were returning from a bonfire at the neighboring Armed Forces radio station. Rich had had a wonderful time that evening, the last of his life. As we walked a quarter mile back to our camp, at one point we found ourselves held hostage by our camp's 14-foot fence to our left and the road to our right. The 2-foot walking path mercilessly held us captive as the drunk driver's right front tire first struck gravel, then us, killing Rich instantly. I was a troop commander with 240 men in my unit. Rich was my second in command. We jokingly called him Hurricane Rich because he would always come blowing in like the Tasmanian devil. He was a man on a mission, usually about 15 missions. I should know. I gave him those missions. But as I reflected on the events of that fateful evening, I was so thankful for the time we had together. Madam Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. My message to you, to all of us today, is simple. Do it now. I've been blessed by seeing a lot of death in my 38 years. Whether it's been my grandparents, classmates from West Point, comrades from Desert Storm, friends and family, those I've dated, or others like Rich, I have repeatedly seen death and its effects on those left behind. Now, why would I possibly say I've been blessed by seeing death? Because each and every one of these deaths has reminded me of my and others' mortality. And that none of us are guaranteed, even the next second of our lives. Rich would rise up from the grave even now and remind us of that. So what's the point? Do it now. Do what now? Question of the ages. For the answer, let's turn to that classic tale of midlife crisis, the blockbuster movie, City Slickers. In it, Billy Crystal's character is excited to learn that that crusty cowboy Curly, played by Jack Palance, has the answer to the meaning of life. Curly tells him, it's this one thing. And incredulous Crystal says, what one thing? Curly looks at him and says, that's what you have to figure out. Now, friends, we're not talking about the meaning of life today, but you will have to figure out this one thing for yourself. The good news is, I'll help you start to discover that over the next few minutes. It was December of '84, and we were seniors in high school. I had the daunting task of informing my best friend Charlie that his dad had just dropped dead of a heart attack while running. As we talked, through tears he told me, Jeff, I'm so glad that our last words to each other were, I love you. I remember March of '01. My girlfriend and I were in the hospital where her dad lay dying. Her younger, rebellious sister had been sent away to a school for troubled teens. Believe me, her last words to her dad had been anything but, I love you. And when he quit breathing on that Sunday afternoon around 2, we thought we'd lost him. Thankfully, for the younger sister's sake, he would live another 12 hours. Because after that false alarm, she ran us out of the room, she shut the door, and for the next 30 minutes, she made her peace with her dad. But she emerged from the room half an hour later with red puppy eyes. She had a new lightness of being that So what's the point? Do it now. What's the it, you ask? I can't speak for you. Allow me to share a little bit of my it. In August of '04, my friend Randy died from complications attributed to multiple sclerosis. As I reflected on his death, I thought, in December of '03, he didn't realize that would be his last Christmas, but it was. And it didn't. For all I know, this would be my last Christmas. So I launched an aggressive campaign to find the addresses for everyone from old schoolmates to old scoutmasters. My goal was to send out letters acknowledging what each of them had meant to me over the years, and I'm happy to report the mission accomplished. This January, I ran the Disney Marathon in Randy's memory and used it as a platform to raise money to fight MS. I was overwhelmed by the outpouring of support as 73 people, some of whom were in this room, helped me raise almost $4,000. These days I realize that a first impression is not only lasting, many times it's the only impression. So I find myself doing simple things like making eye contact with a cashier at the checkout line, or smiling and saying, "Hi, have a great day." These days I forgive more easily. There's no time to hold a grudge, and I want the last words I say to people to be positive. These days, instead of finding fault, I do my best to find the good in others. These are some examples of my gifts. What are some of yours? I'm giving this speech in memory of Rich, Randy, and the others I've lost over the years. All it took was 1 second to end lives. The good news is, all it takes is 1 second to change lives for the better. I'll leave it to you to determine what this one thing is for you. But friends, we don't have a second to spare. So please, please, please do it now.
Christian friend and receive encouragement.